I am 28 years old. I have spent 24 years of my life living in Vietnam and 4 years in Germany. And the experience of living in these two different countries are very different, especially as a woman. So today I want to sit down and tell you guys about it. If you normally get used to my goofy content that I make on my channel, this video gonna be a bit more serious, so be warned. Before I start, here's a small disclaimer. I grew up in a small rural area of Vietnam. People over there were quite traditional and many of them didn't have a chance to be well educated. So my story is pretty different compared to other people who grow up in a more progressive place in Vietnam, like in the cities, for example. So I don't speak for all Vietnamese women. This is just my story, okay? Now that we made it clear, let us go back to Vietnam 28 years ago, before I was born. My family at that time already have 3 kids, all daughters. So my parents were really needing a son. Why? Because sons are way more valuable than daughters. Daughters are not yours. Once they get married, they will move to their husband's family and they will belong to their husband's family. Whereas if you have a son, once he gets married, his wife have to move to your house and she's gonna stay and take care of you to the rest of her life. Plus, men are stronger, make more money, society respect them more, they carry the bloodline, and my parents and other people in the village kind of believe in the afterlife, so they want their spirit to be taken care of once they pass away. And how do you do that? Someone have to create a shrine for you. Normally, it has to be the son, not the daughter. All of that is not my words, okay? That's what I was told since I was a child. But anyway, you get the point. Not having a son was a big problem for them at that time. So when they got pregnant with me, they were really hoping that I'm gonna be a boy. In the village at that time, there were not something like prenatal care, so no checkup, no ultrasound. They just got pregnant and then they wait until the day they deliver, normally at home as well, to see if the baby is healthy and what is the gender of the baby. The day I was born was a cold and rainy day, and the little Uyen was welcomed to the world by a little bit of disappointment from the family. To be fair, growing up, I don't think my parents hate me or resent me of the fact that I'm not a son, but the people around me made sure to make me feel that way already. We were the big joke of the village, a family with 4 daughters and no son. My mom were constantly making fun of as if her body is broken, that she cannot produce a son. And my father was being humiliated because he's not manly enough to make a boy. Wherever I went, people would tease me something like, oh, your parents was praying so much for a son and somehow the God just accidentally created a daughter instead. Or like, your father is probably gonna leave you guys soon because he has to go and make a new family and get a son to redeem himself. It's definitely one of the reasons that created my very low self-esteem when I was younger. And also it made me believe that somehow, although I'm also a human, I'm definitely somewhere lower than a man. Also in my village, there were a hierarchy between men and women too. For example, if there's a food gathering, the man would come first, sit on a table, and eat and drink. Women and children sat on the floor. And normally the woman can never sit in peace and eat because she have to stand up to serve food, to make sure everybody have food, to get this and get that. And after the man is full and happy, us women have to clear all of the dishes and clean it together. It's been 28 years and my village has changed for the better. Still, that tradition is still there. Every time I went back to the village, I still see my mom running around, cooking and cleaning. Why? The man just sit there and eat. And of course, I had to help her. Otherwise, she have to do more work, right? But every time I just sit there and do the dishes, I hate it. I hate it to the gut. I was like 12 and she was raising me to be someone's wife already, although we don't even know his face yet. So basically, that's the standard that I was raised in. If I walk too loudly in the house, my mom would say, who would marry you if you walk like an elephant? If I cut fruits in not a beautiful way, she would say, your husband, your future husband, will send you back to my house if you cut fruits like this. Or if I clean the house not very clean, she would say, your future mother-in-law would shame me for raising you like this. And the funny thing is, despite all of that, when I turned 18, I did not end up to knowing how to cook or clean or walk like a lady because of my mom. Because although she kept talking about how to be a good wife, she also believed that education is the only way that get me out of poverty and getting out of the village. So instead of making me cook or clean, she made me study. Whenever I go to the kitchen, she would kick me out to make me go to the room, or when I go to do dishes or clothes, she never let me do anything because she wanted me to study. And then she keep complaining that I don't know to do anything, and then I will not find a husband, not a wife. So yeah. When I went to school in Vietnam, I have as much opportunities to learn as a boy. We were treated equally, and there were nothing that I'm not allowed to learn that a boy can learn, which was really, really a cool thing. Although there was still sexism here and there because of people's mindset, I'm still grateful for this day because I know that in many places in the world, women don't even have the unequal access to education like a man. So I'm so glad that that was not the case in my country. Still, once I graduated high school and started to think about university, there's a big difference in expectation between jobs for men and women. Men supposed to have big career, like doing cool things like doctors, engineering, architecture. Women supposed to have jobs that is not very time consuming, like accountant, administration, because once she graduated university and start having family, she should devote most of the time for raising her family anyway. At that time, I didn't really know what I want to do as well, so I just chose a random university and learned marketing there. I got accepted. I moved out of the village and moved into the capital of Vietnam, Hanoi. Beauty standard in Vietnam is something that I struggle with till this day. In terms of body weight, you have to be as thin as possible. If you look like me, a little bit of chubby here and there, you're gonna be called béo by everybody. Béo means fat in Vietnam. And how do I know that? Because recently, whenever I go back to Vietnam, everybody makes sure to let me know that I'm fat. Even people that I don't even know very well come up to my face and tell me that I'm very fat and I have to stop eating. The thing is, it did not bother me because I have grown to love my body and accept who I am. And I know that these people have crazy beauty standard. So it's not a problem. But the 18 years old Uyen was struggle a lot. I was always a bit taller than an average Vietnamese woman and my bone structure is quite big. So no matter how much weight I lose, I still look a bit bigger than normal Vietnamese woman. I was always wishing to be as tiny as some of my friends. I did try crazy diet and that was tough. And nobody was there to tell me like, you're beautiful as the way you are. I love your body. They always just like, you're ugly, lose some more weight. What makes the matter worse is the way we talk about body weight in Vietnam as if it's a small talk topic, like the weather. So when you meet your friends, you would say like, you gain weight, you lose weight, your cheek is quite chubby, right? In Vietnam, having white and fair skin is not only the beauty standard, but also a sign of status in the society. And one of the reasons is that Vietnam is very sunny, so they believe that only the poor people who has to work in the farm will have tan skin, and the rich could stay in the house and their skin should be lighter. The thing is, the beauty standard for the skin is the whiter the better. So you're supposed to be as white as a Westerner or like Snow White. But the problem is, us Vietnamese genetically cannot have that kind of skin. So what is the solution? We have to bleach our skin. Many makeup products in Vietnam has whitener chemicals and they proudly advertise it. Like, if you put our cream into your hand, you see the difference. Like, this hand is way whiter than this hand. All of my makeup product or skincare product have a bleaching or whitener chemical in it. My face would be pretty white because I use whitener and bleaching, but like this part here would be like pretty dark compared to this because that was my skin tone and I looked ridiculous, but at that time I think I looked pretty cool. From the age of 18 until I was 23, 24, I never went out of the house without makeup. Barely anyone even know my naked face except my family and my close friends at that time. Till this day, I still like doing makeup and being extra pretty when I feel like it. But the big difference is At that time, when I don't have makeup on, I hate myself. I feel like I am very ugly. My lip was pale, my eyebrow is not thick enough, there was no blush here on the cheek. It's just too hard for the eyes to see. If there was an exceptional day that I woke up late and show up to work without the makeup, my boss would ask me if I was sick and I should put on makeup immediately before greeting the customer. And that was not help with body dysmorphia for sure. If you watch my channel for a while, you would notice that I'm not the best fashionista and I'm not very good at being fashionable, which is okay. I'm completely fine with that. I love how I dress and it's okay. But yeah, I'm never good at mixing things or wearing clothes in a fashionable way. And when I was young and when I was in Vietnam, that was, big problem. If you ever been to Vietnam, you would notice that Vietnamese women, especially the young one, are very good at dressing themselves. They dress beautifully, very fashionable. I want to make this clear first. If you love fashion and you love mixing up clothes and love dressing up nicely, I love it for you. I love seeing people with cool clothes on the street. But in these specific circumstances, I have two problems with it. First, since us women were supposed to be well-dressed, well-collected, looking beautiful once we go outside, if you don't fulfill that standard, you have a problem. And also, if you want to express yourself through your clothing, like if you look a little bit odd compared to the rest, you're gonna be judged. Despite all of the challenges and pressure, Vietnamese women are still one of the strongest women I have ever met in my life. My mom, for example, she was a farmer and every day she got made fun of for having 4 daughters, right? Still, she raised us to become good people. She put all of us to school, to university, and now all of us have our own life and career. She had been through so much, but every day she kept going on to provide us and taking care of us. And that is why I could never be mad at her by the way she raised me in a traditional way, because she didn't know anything better and she did everything she could already. My 3 other sisters probably had it worse than me because I was born the latest. They were born when my family were even way poorer and more traditional, but still they grew up to be successful, have their own career that they built from their empty hand, and I am just so proud of them. In the companies that I work for in Vietnam, women had the same workload like men, but at home they were also the main caregiver for their children. They clean the house, they cook. It's like they have 2 jobs at the same time, but still they thrive. Many of my bosses in Vietnam were women and they are very smart, decisive, and I just love them. I admire them so much. And you have to know that they do all of that while fulfilling the expectation of being a good woman in our society. I moved to Germany 4 years ago, so I cannot talk about how it is growing up here. I only can tell you my experience as a grown-up woman studying a master's degree here. The first thing I want to say is that women in Germany is strong, mentally and physically strong. Let me give you an example. When I live in Vietnam, I live in an apartment complex in the 2nd floor. And every week, me and my roommate have to bring a 20-kilogram drinking bottle of water up to our 2nd floor through the stair. And during 5 years of living in that apartment complex, we only need to do it ourselves 2 times. The other time, the delivery guy would help, a guy friend, a neighborhood's guy, or someone's boyfriend in our room would show up and help us bring the bottle to the 2nd floor. Every time we needed to carry something heavy, some guy would show up and help. And honestly, I was getting used to it until I moved to Germany. Over here, you don't just approach a woman carrying something and help her carry it unless she asks for help because she's perfectly capable of it. One time we were carrying a very heavy doll from our apartment down to the cellar and we were struggling, me and my boyfriend. And guess who showed up and helped? Our neighbor, who's a woman. And she was like, ooh, oh, and then she bring it down. It's like so freaking light for her. Even German boyfriend don't offer to help me carry things that often. If I look fine holding things, he just let me do it. If he carry like 30 kilograms of grocery home, I supposed to carry the rest 10 kilograms. And at first, it was a struggle because I have to be honest, I'm not the strongest warrior, you guys. I am a bit weak because I'm not very used to carrying heavy stuff since I was born. But it's getting better. Other skills that I see mostly men do in Vietnam, such as fixing around the house, building furniture, electricity stuff, or like drilling thing on the wall. Over here, many women can do too. And during the last 4 years I live in Germany, I have learned to do all of the stuff I just mentioned, and I'm very proud of myself for that. I have built countless of furniture around the house. I learned how to install a ceiling lamp up there. I also know how to use a drill now. I mean, that part, German boyfriend bought me a tiny drill so I can do tiny stuff, and he has the big drill for heavy stuff like But it's still a big achievement, because if you give me the tiny drill when I was 20, I would not even dare to touch it. I would be too scared to do it. When I was in Vietnam, I always thought that I was too weak and it was impossible to do this and that because I was not a man. It had never occurred to me that whatever a man could do, I could do it too. Mostly, not everything. I know that if German boyfriend won, he can roll over me and I would be flat like a pancake. I'm not unrealistic. However, since moving to Germany and being encouraged, sometimes forced, to try all of the things that I thought only a man could do, I realized that it was not that difficult, and what's stopping me is not my physical strength, it's just myself. People in Germany don't really talk about your appearance, like at all. I don't remember receiving any comment about how I look since the day I live here, except positive one. Like if I have a new dress, new haircut, new glasses, they would give me compliment for that. If they don't have anything nice to say, they would never say anything. If I have makeup on, some people might tell me that I look very cute today, but if I don't have any makeup, nobody would tell me that you look ugly without the makeup. When it comes to clothing, I feel like people over here prefer to dress more practical and comfortable rather than aesthetically. Is that the right English word? If you want to go over the top and then wear something completely stand out compared to other people, they wouldn't like complain or point that out too. Whatever you dress, it's fine. I have to say I prefer the German approach way more when it comes to appearance. Seeing nobody commenting on this every day, I just stopped stressing out so much about how I look and even learned to accept my body and love it as how it is. In Germany, I feel like woman's greatest life goal doesn't have to be finding a partner, giving birth to a son, and then devote her time to raise them. And I love it. I met the first woman who told me that she wanted to remain child-free until the rest of her life, and that conversation blew my mind. I didn't even know that it is possible for a woman to actively choose to be child-free. Now that I'm 28 and have a fiancé, sometimes we talk about whether or not should we have a child. I mean, I'm still young and I still have time, but I would like to think about it early. And it is such a reassuring feeling to know that whatever I choose, it's gonna be okay. My German boyfriend has been very supportive about it. He told me that it's my body, and whether or not we have a child, he's gonna be with me no matter what. Okay, I do not expect to talk this much in this video. The sun has went down and the room is getting dark. The only light source I have is one light over there and this tiny little bed light here. So in like 15 minutes, you guys won't see me anymore. So I guess I have to stop the video here. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video with better time planning and lighting situation. Bye bye.